A lot of people think recording voiceover is as easy as pointing a mic at someone talking, but that's just the start. This video shows you how to get different sounds and solve sound problems by positioning your microphone intelligently. Before we get into this, I want to point out that I'll be using a Rode NTG1 shotgun microphone for the examples in this video. Generally, a shotgun microphone is a bad choice for voiceover, especially when close miking, but I'm using it specifically because the tight cardioid pickup pattern will emphasize different positioning factors and make them easier to hear. In general, a large diaphragm condenser microphone, or occasionally a dynamic or ribbon mic, is a better choice. So there are three basic factors in microphone positioning: the distance, the vertical position, and the off-axis angle. Distance is fairly straightforward, it's just how far the microphone is from your mouth. Vertical position is how far above or below the microphone is from the audio source, and the last factor, off-axis angle, is how far the microphone is angled away from the direction the audio source is projecting. There are a few vocal factors that distance can impact, mainly room tone, vocal imperfections, and low frequency energy. Room tone is pretty straightforward. The farther away a microphone is from the sound source, the more background noise and room tone, aka echo, the microphone will capture. That's why in low quality recording environments, it's best to record very close, but in high quality studio environments, you have the flexibility to record farther away. Recording closer can be dangerous because it's more likely to capture various vocal imperfections. Things like plosives and S's, buildups of consonant energy, are more problematic when close miking. You're also more likely to pick up lip and mouth smacking from a dry mouth. All these problems can be avoided with good speaking technique, but when recording an amateur, you may want to mic farther away to avoid those problems. The last main factor related to distance is the proximity effect. This is a factor in all directional microphones. The only microphones it doesn't affect are omnidirectional mics, which aren't that common for voiceover. Essentially, the closer the microphone is to a source, the more bass content will be emphasized. That's how radio DJs get a very warm and bass-heavy sound, but it can also make vocals muddy and hard to understand. Either way, this is a more subjective element, and you'll have to decide what distance sounds best for the sound you want. Listen to these two samples at close and far distances. This is the microphone from very close. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. This is the microphone from very far away. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Vertical distance is an important factor, but pretty much unrelated to the last factor. The only identical element is that greater vertical distance will also reduce the pickup of vocal imperfections like plosives and mouth smacks. A lot of high-frequency content in a vocal is projected downward due to the positioning of the nose. Because of this, you can move a microphone down to make it brighter or up to reduce that brightness. Listen to these three vocal samples. This is the microphone pointed directly at the mouth. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. This is the microphone pointed below the mouth. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. This is the microphone pointed above the mouth. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. The last big factor is the angle of the microphone relative to the axis of the source. This is one of my favorite ways to alter the sound of a vocal. Like the last two factors, recording off-axis will reduce the pickup of vocal imperfections. However, because you aren't actually changing the distance of the mic capsule, just the angle, you won't pick up much more room tone by adjusting the mic. This makes off-axis recording a great way to reduce vocal imperfections in noisy or low-quality recording environments. The bigger factor of off-axis recording is how punchy the vocal is. When recording directly into the mic, you'll get a very punchy and aggressive sound. By angling the mic off-axis, you can reduce that punch and make the vocals softer and smoother. The one downside of off-axis recording is most microphones aren't as sensitive at higher frequencies on the side, so angling the mic may make your sound a bit thinner. Here's the last couple of examples. This is the microphone directly on axis. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. This is the mic angled off-axis. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hopefully this video was useful to you. Hopefully it helped you to realize that where your mic is positioned and how you're talking into a mic can have a big impact on the sound you're getting for your particular video, film, or even something like a podcast or a audio drama. So hopefully you learned a little bit more about how you can position your mic, and if so, hit the like button. If not, feel free to hit the dislike button. If you've got any questions or comments about any of these things or anything else, really, feel free to leave those down in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button.